I really wish that you told this story on air.
Oh my, so embarrassing.
Please, let's start that. We'll start the episode with that if you don't, because that's fine. Literally ridiculous.
Hey fuckers, how you doing? Where you been? You okay? You doing good? It's cold out there. Warm the fuck up and welcome to another episode of Guys We Fuck.
It's the anti-slut shaming podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Okay, so we got to start. We were just setting up.
A bomb just dropped before we started recording.
Michael, tell the listeners what you just told us, because we were talking about the thought of like writing it into a podcast for advice, and then Michael offers this to us.
Yeah, so I have. I'm a big fan of a guy named Randy Newman.
Love him. Toy Story soundtrack.
Yes.
Aces.
Musical artist.
Got a friend in me, bitch.
Right. If you're unfamiliar, he's done all of the Pixar movie soundtracks. So
not setting up a great case for yourself.
Yeah, listen, it's an embarrassing story.
Make me feel good though.
So Randy Newman has obviously been writing music since the 60s. He's like a acclaimed songwriter, and he always writes these songs where he is writing in character. What? I haven't even gotten to the thing yet.
Can you switch to Corinne's reaction in between your story, please?
So for juicy. The cut? I can't even handle it.
So when I really got into music, Randy Newman was one of the guys I got into, and he has a lot of songs that are kind of written in character, but they are sad because...
Same girl. I play that on the piano about heroin.
Oh, well,
you're like, shit, Randy Newman gets dark.
Very dark.
He gets dark. I did not expect that from him.
There's a couple, the big ones for me are, have you ever heard Wedding in Cherokee Country?
No.
It's about a guy who is...
But I don't like the idea of a white guy singing about that, but
No. Well, so the song is about a guy, during the turn of the century, who's married, like a mail order bride is a Native American, and she just doesn't want to marry him, and he resents her for not want to marry her. But the whole song is about like, we're getting married anyway, and like
that's so dark.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's so depressing.
He has a bunch of songs like
I love how he's like that. He's like, you got a friend in me.
He's brilliant. So he has the song.
Randy Newman do?
What a range, Randy Newman. What a range.
So he has this song called Guilty. And the song, I don't know if you ever heard it, but the song is about a guy who gets like drunk and loaded on drugs. And he's going through this, I guess it's sort of a breakup, but he hates himself. And he's at he's at a payphone.
Oh, wait, let me unzip my pants.
He's at a payphone.
Is he on the payphone?
And he's calling this woman who like,
does he need help with money?
Is he near Western Union? Because your girl got funds.
So he's calling this woman that doesn't want to be with him, and it's just this whole song about how like he's not good enough, and he hates himself for it, and he just can't be nice to himself or whatever. And
I'd be like, I agree. Nice chat.
We're on the same page about one thing.
So when specifically when I was going through my bad breakup, I had a crying.
With who? What was that?
The audience
went
knows
through
by
bad
now.
breakup. I don't even remember
which one.
You've talked about it so little.
Rhymes with sex.
I had this playlist that I would listen to that was like specifically for crying.
For sure.
When I felt like I needed to kind of like purge myself.
Did you make a unique one for her to make her feel special?
No, it wasn't specific. It wasn't like
not even in this case.
It was it's just like because I haven't needed it since I've been out of the relationship, really. But at that time, I was using it for that reason.
Yeah.
And there's like 7 Randy Newman songs on it, and I was just bawling.
It's a lot of Randy Newman.
It's a lot of Randy Newman.
List.
And you were like, I need to let this guy know.
So there was one night where we had gotten into sort of a fight, and
you were still with
I just see Mike opening Coors Lights,
thunder and lightning and rain.
It was
Miller High Life.
It was a dreary evening.
It was like 11:30 at night, and she was in the bedroom, and I was in the living room, and I was just sitting there with my laptop, my headphones on, and I was just fucking crying my eyes
Jerk
out,
it off,
listening to Randy Newman, and I was so emotional, and I just felt so lonely and everything that I went to Randy Newman's to his website, and there was a contact page.
That's reserved for psychos, Michael.
Well,
and children who love Toy Story.
God damn.
So I clicked the contact page and I wrote this very long email to him. I was like, Randy, you don't know who I am.
Dear Randy.
But yeah, it was like, Dear Randy, you have no idea who I am, but my name is Mike. I'm 28.
Please, do you have a copy of this letter?
No, because it was one of those. It's one of those.
It was those forms on the
yeah,
site.
it's the form. Once you send it, it's gone.
We gotta reach out. If anybody knows Randy Newman, there's gotta be archives somewhere. Michael's letter.
Randy Newman's assistant.
Yeah, his assistant, his agent, his manager. So many people listen to Guys We Fucked. For the love of Christ, somebody must know Randy Newman.
It didn't send you a
We
receipt?
need this letter.
We
need to do this letter.
Thanks for contacting Randy Newman.
I think I got
Don't do it.
I think I got a contact that it was like confirmed that it went through. But the letter was just like, you have no idea. You have no idea what you mean to me and what your music means to me and like all this stuff. And like I feel
I'm literally writing Randy Newman right now and be like, Michael Coscarelli wrote you a long time ago. I need a copy of that letter.
We're really sorry about that, bro.
I need a copy of that letter.
And I was just like,
Mike.
you have no idea how important it is. Like your art, it means so much to me.
Oh my God, this is killing me.
It's at a time where like it just, I feel no one understands me. And I just like your music is helping me through a really hard time.
That was your suicide hotline.
And then
it's Randy Newman's contact.
And then my ex came out and saw me sitting there crying, listening to Randy Newman, and she was
I
just
thought
like,
you were using her headphones.
Well, she didn't know exactly what I was listening to, but she just saw me like just fucking bawling, and I was just like, I'm sorry. I was just like sniveling. And long story short, I never heard back from Randy. I think he got it.
Don't worry, I got the contact form up. I'm all right.
You're on a list.
I don't blame him. I don't know what he would have possibly
said. You're on a do not sell to ticket list.
You got 86 stuff on Randy's website.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be like one of those situations where like now.
Don't let this man into the venue.
Where he'd call you and be like, Michael, I've been waiting to hear from a young Italian man like yourself.
I'm so glad my music could reach your
Michael,
soul.
it's me, Randy Newman.
You got a friend in Randy Newman, Mikey.
Oh my God.
You know, it's not my finest moment, but I hit a real low point, and he was of comfort to me.
Wow,
and I just thought he had to know. And one day, I'm going to meet him, and I'm going to tell him that story.
God, that was good. That really did it for me. Oh, that was good.
Well, I'm glad it's out there now for all the listeners.
Oh, I feel really good.
Meet him soon because he's 78.
I feel really good.
Hang in there, Randy. Hang in there till you meet Mikey, Big Dong, Dickie Coscarelli.
Randy, I need
this
to meet
needs
you.
to happen. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You didn't tweet him. You didn't DM him on Instagram. You went to his website and filled out the contact form.
It was far too personal to tweet.
Right.
It just, and he's like a big enough artist that
he's a huge artist.
Yeah, but I also thought that he's not like
he's not getting left. He's not like Taylor Swift.
Right. He's not inundated with messages.
Fan mail. Right.
Yeah,
that's what I thought I had a shot at getting a word back on one of the guys who has influenced a lot of my emotional growth. Wow. Whether he knows it or not.
Oh, that was really special, Michael.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Quite honestly.
Yep.
Thank you for your service.
Well.
All right. If you want to email the show, you want to contact Randy Newman, just go to randynewman.com/contact.
We answer emails. Why would Randy Newman not?
Well, he's busy and he doesn't have a podcast. And that's not his main form of income.
Different art form, yeah.
It's a fair point.
Sorry about last night's show at gmail.com is the email address to send all your woes, dumbitry, whatever, to. The subject line
I feel like we're going to clip that up and then we're going to hear from Randy Newman.
I fucking hope so. We're going to tag the shit out of him. And if you could tag Randy in the comment section.
Oh, is he on Insta?
We're going to be served a restraining order.
If we're lucky. How fun.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Mike writes a one-man show. You got a stalker in me, Randy Newman.
Randy Newman official. He only has 26.1 thousand followers.
Shit.
See what I'm saying?
He's only following one person. Is it Mike?
Beyonce.
No. It's
Keeping tabs on me?
No, it's None Such Records. I guess he has a record company. Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Subject line, I had a woo-woo dream about an ex, and now I feel like I need to find him. girl. Hey, Corinne and Krystyna, been a listener for many years and appreciate all the content you two put out for us. Let's jump to it though. Last night, my ex showed up in my dream. We dated from 2011 to 2013 on and off, and I honestly haven't thought about him in years. In the dream, I was volunteering at an event with my fiance in real life, not a dreamt up one. And my ex showed up and super politely asked if I could go talk with him. I agreed and followed him across the street into his house where there was a bunch of high people and all happy to see me. Without going into too much detail about our history, this resembles many of the nights that we spent together. So I was a little on edge because some of those nights were good and some of them weren't.
Yeah, like a relationship.
Yeah, I know. This is like me finding out that the world isn't ponies and rainbows. It's actually like sad and dark and
like ups and downs.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
I know, but sometimes you're like, I can't believe life is like this. But he led me into a game room with an air hockey table, asked me to play. We played and talked and pretty much made peace with each other over the very hostile breakup and interactions that we had. That's nice. Sounds healing. It was also very clear to me that he was sober during this conversation, which he was only sober for a few months at the beginning of our relationship. At the end, we hugged, but our hug got interrupted by his dad coming in and saying it was time for him to go. I don't normally read too far into dreams, but it reminded me eerily of a dream I had when I was 12 of my, quote, uncle. He had been in a wheelchair for many years and suffered from many physical issues, but in the dream, he walked up to me. If your uncle has passed away, that means his soul's coming to you in a dream. He came up to me, politely interrupted the conversation I was in, and we talked and caught up for a bit. It ended with him saying he had to go, and then I hugged him and he walked away, disappearing into the distance. The next morning, my family found out he had passed away the same night. That's exactly what that was. Oh, that's so cool. Sorry for your loss, but also like what a beautiful moment you got to have with your uncle.
Mixed message, I think.
No, but I mean, it's like a beautiful moment that you get to have, which hopefully brought you closure. But again, you still have to grieve. The correlation between the two dreams had me very on edge today. I'm almost to the point of looking for psychics or mediums just to try to get more information.
Did you go on Facebook and see if he was dead?
I did send a message to my ex on Instagram, but he rarely goes on any social media anymore, so he most likely won't see it for months, assuming he's all right. After some social media stalking, I found out that he hasn't talked to his family in over a year, and the last person that I know talked to him at the end of September.
That's not good.
Yeah, it also seems like, according to his posts last year, he was trying to get sober and was attempting to avoid suicidal tendencies. Should I reach out to his friend to see if he's talked to him recently, or even just get his number and text him myself?
Yeah.
We dated in high school, and I haven't ran into each other since 2017, but he was also my first love and holds a very special place in my heart. I appreciate any feedback you guys have. Sincerely, am I paranoid? I think it's very possible that this person might have passed away.
Yeah, reach out to him.
The dream that you had with your uncle is something that I've read about in all the books about mediumship that I've read and stories that I've heard. Like a loved one after they pass will visit you in a dream, and it'll be like a very real encounter. It'll be a healing encounter, and they will present as their best self. So like you said, if your uncle was in a wheelchair and you see him in a dream after he's passed, he's going to be walking. If your ex-boyfriend, was on drugs or alcohol from the majority of your relationship, and he passed away and he comes to you in a dream, he's going to be present and sober. So it's possible that he passed
also this
away.
is like what happened to me last year when my childhood best friend like woke me up in the middle of the night and I found out she was dead. So
yeah. So it's very possible.
And also then the path that you just went on, sounds very bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
all signs point to it's very possible that he passed away.
I don't think it's ever, unless you like did something really heinous to someone where like they're healing because of you. I would always say it's always fine to check in on somebody.
Yeah.
The only time it's not okay to check in is like if like you like raped someone and you don't check in on them.
Yeah. Leave them the fuck alone.
Just leave them alone.
And don't rape. You know what I mean?
Just leave them alone.
Small ask.
Yeah, but definitely look into it, because it seems like
you're not paranoid.
Things aren't okay.
You're putting two and two together in a way that to me makes total sense.
Yeah.
So thank you for writing. I'm curious. My feeling is that he did pass away, but he might not have. I'm just curious.
He could also be in trouble. People do visit you in their dream, in your dreams. Like that's like kind of like a way to like psychically connect with people. You know, I try to like control it a little bit more, but I don't think I have that. My Matilda powers.
You should get
fully.
I love that
functioning.
Movie. I really thought that I could fucking make objects move when I was a kid. There's books on lucid dreaming. That you can kind of get control over it.
Well, lucid dreaming is that's a little
anybody
different.
can apparently learn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I mean, like I'm talking more like telepathy.
Ooh, I want that so bad.
All right, come see us live. Oh yeah, actually, I do have a show to promote. New Year's Eve.
Woo!
New Year's Eve. What the fuck are you doing on New Year's Eve?
2022.
I'll be in New York, and I have a show that I usually do at New York Comedy Club, East Village. I'm excited to do it again. It's at 6 p.m., so you can start the night off with a comedy show and then go get fucking blitz, whatever the fuck you're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there.
Fucked up, get fucked up, motherfuckers. As long as you're over the 21.
New Year's Eve usually
Chad.
like the least exciting night of the year. Everyone always thinks it's going to be like a crazy.
I've never worked on
party.
New Year's.
Really?
Never.
I always work on New Year's.
I always just want to kiss a boy on New Year's, but now I want to work and do stand up.
Yeah. So Corinne Fisher's Morbid New Year's Eve. It'll be people telling fucked up jokes about the year that they had, so we can all start New Year with a clean slate. I'll be there. Christina Hutchinson will be there.
So excited
Ryan
for this
Long
theme.
will be there. Lev Fur will be there, and more people who I text because I'm only letting my friends perform on the show because I'm not trying to fucking ruin New Year's for myself.
Goddamn right.
Can't.
And so that's where it's going to be. But yeah, get tickets. If the ticket like isn't up by the time this airs, it'll be up soon. But just reserve the night. Reserve the night. This is the earliest I've ever planned my New Year's Eve because I usually say I don't know what I'm going to do because I usually think something cool is going to happen, and then like 3 nights before I text Emilio Savone at New York Comedy Club like, can I please work because things are getting dark over here. And then he goes, okay, Corinne,
It's not panning out like I thought it would.
of course, there's always a spot for you. And please listen to Without a Country. It's my political podcast on the Gas Digital Network. It's so much fun. Oh my God, we had such a fun midterm election show. And in a couple weeks, we're going to watch the new Casey Anthony docu-series together. We're going to talk about that. So like there's just so much coming up. And also Trump just announced that he's running for president again. I mean, Elon Musk is taking over Twitter. There's so many interesting topics. Yeah, there's so many interesting topics to discuss. And you got to roast them so they don't seem terrible. So join us Without a Country. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think that's the best way to watch it because there's a lot of visual elements to the show. And you could also get clips on Instagram at Without a Country podcast.
And I would like to promote my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Christina Hutchinson. And I have a solo podcast that is available to listen to on iTunes for free or wherever you get podcasts. I did 89 episodes. It's called The Voices in Our Heads. I wrote and sang the theme song. Very proud of that. And I do monthly episodes just on Patreon now where I just talk about all the stuff I'm going through. A lot of mental health stuff, a lot of mommy issues, daddy issues stuff, and a lot of just pondering the world and figuring out how I could feel better in my own body and mind. And then I also do for Patreon 3 to 4 times a month group Zoom therapy in quotes, Chad, because I'm not a licensed therapist, but I basically facilitate group lamenting, we'll say, a couple times a month, and it's very helpful. I really enjoy it. I love hearing people's stories, and I like learning from other people. So it's been very fun. So join patreon.com/Christina Hutchinson. And also, I'm doing all this woo-woo shit. I went to take a three-day long course from Laurel and Jackson and stuff, and I record all this stuff. I record the audio from all these things I do, and I upload it to my Patreon because I want to share it with you. So go subscribe, okay? $5 a month. That's it. That's all it is. $5 a month. You could talk to me 4 times a month. What? That's crazy. Patreon.com/Christina Hutchinson. And then, rate and review motherfucking Guys We Fucked and follow us. Follow Guys We Fucked on the Apple Podcast chart app. We need these ratings and reviews, and we need these follows because we want to stay in the top 200 in the comedy charts. Okay, because Guys We Fucked is a legendary show. We're breaking ground. We're carving out new. Keep us in where we on the top 200.
And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. It's youtube.com/Guys We Fucked without the U in fucked. Watch all the free, amazing content we have there, including our comedy special, our special day, the Dumb Bitch Woo Woo Hour, full video episodes of these podcasts that you had been asking for fucking years and years and years. They're all up there. It's gorgeous. It's fun.
Gorgeous.
I honestly, I never listened to the podcast, but I've been listening to the podcast a lot more because watching it to me so much more interesting than listening to it. And I enjoy it a lot more in taking podcasts on YouTube. But that's just me. I'm a visual person,
You're a visual person.
I'm a visual person.
How you doing?
I just have a little thing. I know you have a big thing, but this has just been going on. Last week I presented some lyrics from the Lil Dicky song Molly, and this week, and I hate to call him out because he's my favorite guy.
Randy Newman.
Yeah, it's Randy Newman.
Oh God,
it was Randy Newman. But this week, Louis Capaldi shared a bit of his new song, and I gotta say, doesn't pass the Corinnedel test.
Oh no,
Louis Capaldi, what say you to this?
So the lyrics of this, and it's been going like around TikTok, but not because people are upset. They love it. It says the lines are: "I bring her coffee in the morning. She brings me inner peace. I take her out to
That's not a fair trade.
Nope. I take her out to fancy restaurants. She takes the sadness out of me.
Oh my fucking God, that's an unfair trade.
I make her cards on her birthday. She makes me a better man.
You could afford to buy her a gift.
I take her water when she's thirsty. She takes me as I am."
You're just doing assistant work for her at a very minor level. She's making your life better.
A task rabbit. She's recalibrating your entire nervous system.
I would call that song "The Scales Are Uneven." What's the song called?
I don't even know because I don't even know if he named it. Yes, I appreciate the sentiment behind it because he went through a breakup like 2 years ago and he's not even trying to get over it. And I salute you. I salute you, Louis Capaldi. I really appreciate that. There's no need to heal. I don't know why people are trying to heal.
I want to heal.
That's overrated.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Healing is overrated.
It's an admirable journey.
Stay stuck on it. I mean, it's like, I also don't know. I'm like, well, are you trying to get her back or are you just like, because like if someone's trying to get me back, like I'd be open to it, but not just
those lyrics ain't gonna get me back.
Yeah, not just by like writing a song that's gonna like make 100,000 women cream over you.
But also
that's not
too,
how you're gonna get me back.
This guy can't win. Wait,
But also, where's the
Write a private letter,
right?
That you're not monetizing.
And also,
but this is his livelihood.
Well, but that's not my problem.
Michael, I brought
you inner peace,
water, and you made me a better man.
Yeah.
That's not a fair trade.
Yeah.
So what should the lyrics be?
It literally reminded me of this joke I wrote about how someone told me I gave them confidence, and I was like, I guess he taught me about gems,
like literal rocks.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's not a fair trade either.
Nope.
Shit. Got played. Straight girl getting played left and right here. Oh man.
So anyway, I've been pretty upset about that all weekend.
I'm so sorry. That sucks.
I guess the dream is dead.
You never say that.
I mean, Louis is a handful. I never thought he wasn't, but so
takes one to know one.
Yeah. So I was like, we can handle it, And his TikToks are so dang funny.
Louis, I don't understand why you don't date Corinne.
Come on, Louis. Like he's still. I can't date him yet because he's still hung up on this other woman. Yeah. Yes. Oh yes.
2 years later,
he gains a lot of pounds of weight and
wow,
he's not. Yeah.
Well, if you ever want a jogging buddy, well.
I can't lose any more weight. People are already falling off chairs when I walk in. And also, guys, relax. I lost weight. I know I lost weight. Just please stop. I was literally dying last year.
Amazing.
It's so annoying at this point. It's so annoying. This is like my normal healthy body weight. And it just makes me feel like I was sitting around eating nachos. And it also then makes me angry about all this like body positivity bullshit even more because it's just like I feel my fucking value in society go
right.
So it's like, and that's not okay. I'm not saying that's okay, but what I am saying is
fucking annoying.
Body positivity is bullshit. Tell the rest of society because no one got the memo. Literally, my career is going better. My life is the only thing I will say is like no matter what weight I am, guys still want to fuck. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah. That never changes. Yeah. And I'm not talking like fuck and never call me again. I'm like talking like fuck and like hang out with me in person.
Oh, she got that
in public.
What that personality do? Okay. Get a lot of dick. Gets a lot of dick.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
But everyone else, you guys suck. How are you, Krystyna?
I'm doing great. I'm doing a lot better. I know it's so, God, I love and I hate like lamenting in the moment on this podcast because it's like my moods change so quickly.
Oh, we need content.
Yeah, it's true. And oh boy, I got content for you.
Thank God.
Last week I just had very anxious. I had my period and I was just like, PMSing and like the mood and and I was, noticing all these traits in me that feel similar to like all the books that I read about borderline personality disorder, and I had people in my life with that, and I know people with it, and so it just makes me really aware. And I do this thing, especially when I'm like in a bad mood, where when I am self-aware about something I'm doing, I beat myself up about it, which is so unproductive. And I've shared a lot of stuff on this podcast. I've talked about the Alyssa Vitti book, Woman Code. A lot of people DM me about that all the time. It's called Woman Code by Alyssa Vitti. You don't got to DM me about what it's called, because I'm telling you. We just press rewind. You know what I mean? Like, rewind it and then find it. But whatever. So many people ask me about that book, which I'm glad, because I think it's really important to understand how your body works. Knowledge is power. I will say, I found myself, I was in a deep depression last year, and it was probably the worst depression I've ever experienced. It was awful. It was fucking awful, and I didn't know how to get out of it. And I felt that kind of creeping up again on me. And instead of going, no, I really worked hard to try to help myself. And I've been reading all these self-help books. If you've listened to the podcast for the whole time, you certainly know we fucking interviewed my mom, and then you watched me realize I had childhood trauma, and you watched me or listened to me realize like, oh, I wasn't being I was being manipulated by my parents. And then I eventually cut this parent off. And so it's quite a journey. And so in that journey, I have devoured all of these self-help books. And I understand that a lot of people can get like addicted to self-help, but the way that I do it is I'm just listening to all this stuff. 90% of it goes in one ear and out the other. I'm just listening for something to help me with my own perspective. And when I find an author, or when a book, and there's something in it for me of value, I really like try to take it in, but without being like addicted for a cure. I'm just trying to figure myself out. And if I can depart, I would say the most important author up until today, but he's been holding this place in my heart for several years now, that I cannot recommend to you all listening to enough. I cannot recommend this author enough, is Michael Singer. He wrote The Untethered Soul, which is a book that I turn to a lot, kind of like Pema Chodron's When Things Fall Apart. But this book, he talks about trauma, and he doesn't say the word trauma. He just goes, we all have stuff. We all have stuff that comes up in us. We collect it. We collect it all throughout our lives. Whether that stuff was given to you because your mom didn't love you in the way that you needed to be loved, if you were molested as a child, if you went through a really bad breakup in high school, all of these things, no matter the intensity, it all builds up. It's accumulation of stuff. And he proposes this idea that we can be happy, the type of happiness that we feel when we're madly in love with somebody. We can feel that. That feeling comes from inside of us. No one is giving us that feeling, but our ego and our mind kind of trick us into believing that if this person leaves me, then that feeling of happiness and joy and security leave me. That's not true.
Sometimes it comes back.
Yeah. Well, it's always in there, but your heart opens and closes. And he talks about one of the main points of The Untethered Soul is one of like like a main piece of advice he gives you is when you're in a romantic relationship, or in any situation in your life, but a romantic relationship really holds a mirror to your insecurities if you have them, and a magnifying glass, really. When you could feel your heart open and close. So if I'm dating somebody and they say things that I love, that make me happy, that I feel supported, my heart's open. If they say one thing that hits my stuff, maybe my mom said something like that to me that way, years ago, whatever it is, your heart closes. And so it's all about really noticing when your heart closes and intentionally relaxing every muscle in your body when you feel that. Because he says we store things, when we store it, he calls it a samskara, which is like Buddhist, it's like a Buddhist term, which means like a trigger, really. But big or small. We store samskaras with pain. And then when they go to release, when our heart goes to release them, it also releases with pain, because that's what we store deep down there. So I kind of had this click moment where I found myself going back into this depression where I was like, oh my God. And I said the same things to myself. I don't have a mom. I don't have a dad. I'm a fucking, or like my brain was just doing this woe is me shit. And And I realized I was re-listening to Michael Singer. He wrote this book called Living Untethered that is just like how to implement the practices of the untethered soul. It is such a great book, but I recommend reading The Untethered Soul first. If you've read both of those and you haven't read The Surrender Experiment, truly one of the most mind-blowing stories I have ever read in my life. He illustrates from start to finish exactly how he lived his life and how events unfolded, and it's fucking unbelievable. And he was truly practicing what he preached. I've never heard a story like it. So if you read both of those books, highly recommend The Surrender Experiment. Wait, where was it? I went on a little tangent there. I felt this like depression creep back up, and I'm like, I'm going to deal with it. And I was listening to Living Untethered, and it was a very helpful book. And the point that he made that really helped me is something I just said, but it's like, it made me realize when you release stuff that you've stored in there, it also hurts. So I think last year, when I was going through that deep depression, old feelings of trauma, old feelings of abandonment, old feelings of, my mom fucking tried to kill herself in front of me so many times. There's so many like really traumatic things that happened. And I stored them with pain, of course. That's what any human would do. But I think they were trying to come back up, and it hurt so bad that I put a cap on it. And so now I'm just letting it come up and like leave my body. Basically saying, when you feel some scars come back up, just relax and allow yourself to breathe through it and feel the pain and separate yourself. These painful feelings are coming up. And this is where a lot of us can get stuck. Your mind tries to rationalize the painful feelings, or tries to victimize yourself, or tries to like help you. But really, all you have to do is just relax into this feeling and just let it pass through your body. And you will literally feel your energy like going up. It's truly miraculous. But he has a couple quotes from Living Untethered that I wanted to share, because I feel like this is such valuable information on how to live your life. You're lost thinking the world outside has to be a certain way for you to be okay. This is the human predicament, and nothing is going to change until you learn to live from a deeper place. And then he has this quote from Rumi. Yesterday I was clever because I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise because I want to change myself. And he gives you all these examples, but basically another summary of the untethered soul that's like a really important concept that, I've read this book so many times, and it took me reading it probably like 6 times for it to click. You are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness that knows you're thinking. So your brain, your mind is like a television screen, but you're not that screen. You're not in the movie that your mind is projecting. You are completely separate from your thoughts. So that was just really helpful for me, because when I started to spiral into depression a week or two ago, knowing that I'm like, this is just what my brain is doing because my heart is trying to release these fucking feelings that are coming up in me. And my brain's just saying all these things, but I just reminded myself that this is what my brain is doing in an attempt to make the world better for me, but it's not helpful, and I am not these thoughts. Like it's crazy. It's such a simple concept, but when you're really depressed and you're anxious or you're terrified or any emotion that you don't like feeling that feels intolerable, if you just remind yourself over and over again that you are not that feeling, you are the consciousness, the soul in your body, and you have a heart that plays an orchestra. An orchestra can play sad music, it can play happy music, but it just is what it is. And if you kind of separate yourself from those thoughts, it really helped, because when I get in these deep depressions, I get suicidal. I just plain straight up get suicidal. And reminding myself that I am not these thoughts, I go, oh. And something clicked in me where I was like, it doesn't matter how, like, I'm in a relationship. It doesn't matter how that ends. My happiness is not tethered to a relationship working out, to a career working out, to a project working out, to me looking pretty. It's just not. And then I don't know, I just really learned to like readjust the way I think about pretty much everything by reading this book. And it was very helpful. So just a reminder to notice the thoughts inside your head and to really remind yourself that you are the person experiencing your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions. Thoughts and feelings are completely different things. And I don't think we separate those two enough. But most importantly is the detachment that you have with them. It's like you are noticing them, but you are not those thoughts. Because I think that's when people get suicidal, there's just the suicide statistics are really bleak. And I think that this is a key. Like if I should volunteer for a suicide hotline. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. But I feel like one of the key things is like, these are just thoughts you're having. Maybe because of circumstances that you went through that were really hard. But the second you realize that you are not your thoughts and the walls are not caving in to you, like you're the fucking Indiana Jones about to get squished, like the world opens up in a way that you can like appreciate cutting open an orange and just staring at it. Like it's wild. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah. Wait, I wrote some other stuff. Hold on. Let me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what Michael Singer, that's his name, right?
Yes.
Is also talking about is just kind of like a more nuanced and complex version of the only way out is through. I mean, that's what it is.
For sure.
I just kept hearing like Alanis like singing that, you know, I mean, it was a saying, you know, before the Alanis Morissette song, but I just know it from the Alanis Morissette song. So I always associate her with it. And, you know, I mean, she is
I associate Alanis Morissette with antibiotics.
Singer. Oh, because she rhymed it?
Yeah. Every time I take it, I'm like, how about getting off of antibiotics? And then it made me go, is it bad to be on antibiotics? So you do research, you know. But here's a couple other like just one set like really short gems from him is you can observe what's going on inside your mind or you can be tossed around by it. Oh, seeing a painting versus describing it with your mind. So he basically says an example that he gives of like the way that we take in the world and our mind just goes, it has to be like this, or we justify things or we explain things to ourselves. It doesn't need to happen that way. That's neurosis is what that is. And he says, think about being in a museum and seeing the most beautiful painting you ever saw. It takes you 2 seconds to be moved by that painting. If you tried to describe that painting to a friend, it could take you 2 hours, but it doesn't matter. What you got in 2 hours that your brain was trying to do, your soul ingested in 2 seconds because you allowed the experience of the painting to make an impression on you, and then you let it go. I thought that was interesting. And he said, the work that you do on yourself is more important than your marriage. It's more important than your children. It's more important than your career, and it's more important than your friends, which I thought was a really powerful thing.
I've been trying to tell people, and they call me a narcissist.
I know, but turns out Corinne was right, guys.
I fucking knew it. I literally this is psychotic. I woke up this morning.
Juicy.
And I have a loft. So my bedroom's upstairs, and I hate getting up. Not because I'm like sad about life. I just love staying in bed with my dog. It's like the most perfect place. Yeah. And so like, especially on like Mondays when I need to be somewhere, cause we're recording here at a very specific time, I'll put my Alexa on downstairs, like, and just like get some tunes going. And that like, that's an incentive for me to wake up so I can go listen to music. And I was just like in the mirror, like, brushing my teeth, combing my hair. And I was just like, man, I am my favorite person. I'm the best person I know. And then I was laughing to myself, thinking of how if people observed this, how obsessed with myself they would think. And then I was like, but they're wrong. I was like, if I had one wish for everyone on the planet, was that they could all wake up and be like, man, I'm the best person I know. And I guarantee you the world would be better if we all woke up and thought about ourselves, man, I'm the best person I know.
100%. That's what his whole book is about.
And I've been trying to tell people that. Yeah. And I just...
But if no one's ever experienced it, it's hard to believe. I think is what's happening. I think that's why people have such a reaction to it, because they're like, ain't no way in hell that's even possible, so you must be a narcissist.
Well, that's fine. Don't rain on my parade, though.
Right, exactly. But I'm telling you guys,
all the floats are me.
It is possible.
In different poses.
It is possible to experience
that's my Thanksgiving
love.
Day parade.
You don't need a man, a woman, or a non-binary person in your life in order to experience love. You can experience love just by existing in your body. But it takes work, but boy, is it worth it.
Well, and also the thing that you kind of hinted on about how things don't need to be a certain way. I actually was just in Buddhism, like basically they have like practices that they do, but they'll constantly change how they need to be done. So like, 1 week all the words will have to be on the right side of the page, and the next week all the words will have to be on the left side of the page, and that's because the need or decision vision that everything has to be a certain way actually makes us like
stuck.
It fucks with our morality. It makes us because morality, especially from culture to culture, varies drastically,
and time happening and things evolving,
and when humans
values.
like become like kind of these gatekeepers of morality, it really fucks with the universe. And I mean, I think we see it
cancel culture
in so much in politics and cancel culture. And so these people that, you know, and that's what, and it was kind of putting into words what always makes me scoff about liberals and why I started calling myself a liberal gone rogue, because I hated, especially as a comedian, I hated that notion like that this is the way it has to be and this is the only way we can think about it, otherwise you're a bad person and you're wrong. Like, come on.
Yeah, what the fuck? There's nowhere to go.
And I'm right a lot, so that's crazy, even if I think that's a bad idea, guys.
She's right.
Just like, how could you not see that this is like crazy people talk?
Yeah.
It's like a cult.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, man.
You know who's not in a cult?
That we know of.
Our guest.
Yes. Yeah, he's a comedian, and just like he's someone I wanted to have on the show for a long time. There's very few times in comedy where I walk into the lobby of a comedy club and I'm like, glad that guy's here. But I do feel that way about today's guest. So please welcome to the show, Wilfrd Padua. We're here with stand-up comedian Wilfrd Padua. Is that how you say your last name? Say it right?
Yeah.
You should have just said it with confidence. That would just.
I did. I just had to double check.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have corrected you.
Why?
I don't. People get really in their head about saying my name on stage, and it's not like I'm gonna go, oh yeah, he didn't know how to pronounce my last name, because that just makes me like feel unimportant.
That when people don't know how to pronounce it?
Well, just that the entire audience doesn't know who I am.
Right.
So, and now they're like, oh, also the host has never heard of this guy.
Right. Well, that's, I mean, if you're hosting a comedy show, this happened the other night. Somebody was being brought on stage and the host just fucked up their name so bad. They were on Jesus Amaro, the podcast, and they fucked that name up. I'm like, oh my God, that's awful. Yeah. But I have met people that like don't correct a mispronouncing, and does that have to do with self-confidence, or you just don't give a shit?
It's just not that important.
Okay. To
me, my thought is I need to be more successful so that people know what my last name is before I show up.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna work harder.
Oh, okay. So you use it as fuel for your fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was
great.
Inspiring. Like sometimes people call me Corinne and I go, I'm just never going to see this asshole again.
You're dead to me. Talk to you on the next life.
I do not care.
You were saying you're good at cutting people off?
Yeah. Well, I think I just have a distance to myself.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
But it's like a nice, it feels like a Buddhist-y kind of distance. Am I correct?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I think I'm just like bad at figuring out how to like relate to people and not feel clingy or annoying, and how to like be comfortable being a dude with other dudes. Like guy friendships are bad. Like they're not.
Why?
We don't know. They're fun when we're together, but like we don't know how to really reach out and like,
and connect. Yeah,
when you need something.
Yeah.
Like when you're going through a hard time, do you reach out to your friends or?
I don't know.
That's probably no then.
Yeah, probably not.
Have you ever gone through a hard time?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. So that was step one. And then step two.
I've got a therapist.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing where like as soon as I've been in therapy for a long time, for like 5 years now.
Nice.
Since then, I've been not relying on my friends I've realized that there's like some people for therapy, which is my therapist, and then friends are for friends.
Yeah. And you could lean on your friends for certain stuff, but sometimes it's hard and you spill over and you're acting like your friends are your therapist and then they don't want to talk to you anymore. And you're like, I got to reconsider how I go about my life.
Yeah. That's why, and that is part of like why I want to be in a relationship. So I have someone.
Do you have a therapist?
So I have a backup therapist when she's busy.
Oh, I'm sure she'd love to fill that role.
All the women across the world just groaned.
No, it's more that I want someone that I know I can reach out to in a time of need.
Wait, this is different though, because I feel like last time I talked to you, you were like not so keen on relationships, and that was only a couple months ago.
No, last time
you had just decided?
I had just broken off with everyone that I didn't I wasn't going to be in a relationship.
Oh, so everyone, like all the people,
Everyone. How many
all
women
the women you were fucking?
All the lines of women.
How many women were you fucking?
How many were you?
There were just like 2 or 3 casual things.
Okay, so you had a little rotation going.
Yeah, I feel like, isn't that what dating's like now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would love to hear the conversation where you tell them you can't fuck them anymore because you're never going to be in a relationship with them, and how that went down.
How did it go
Please
down?
pretend you have to
It was,
tell us.
I mean, I'm not thrilled about it. It was just a text message. It was just like, hey, but it was also...
That's a good text.
Because I'm like, if it's just casual, you could also just like phase it out.
There was one that I phased out with, but
Did
it was
she accept the phasing out, or was she like, what the fuck, Wilfred?
No, yeah, I think it was mutual. It was just
I love when that happens.
whatever.
Neither of you wanted to be in a relationship.
Mutual phasing out. Oh, chef's kiss.
And I was like very open from the very beginning. I used the excuse of, life is busy, blah, blah, blah.
Life is busy.
Busy. No, okay.
Let me,
When a guy says that, it's just, to me, if a guy, if anybody wants
absolutely
to
a lie.
be with you, wants to sleep with you, wants to date you, you will know.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you'll know. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so attracted to you, but
I guess
life is busy.
I guess saying you're busy is like a courtesy, but I'm like, I just see through the bullshit.
yeah, it is bullshit. It absolutely is.
But is it better to do the bullshit? Is that polite to just kind of bullshit in that way? I don't know.
Please
Can't tell.
Or is
go
it-
on tour and make merch that says life is busy. It's like life is good, but it's life is busy. And it's just Wilfred at his laptop.
type.
Yeah,
Right, my
Twitter's open.
He's just jerking off.
Yeah, and it is bullshit. Because the truth is, if I really like this person, I would have made the time for that person.
Right.
Say it together.
That's
Made
true.
time. Yep.
But yeah. But
I mean, it's okay that you don't want to make time with somebody. You're
Yeah.
not obligated to, and
That's for
obviously,
sure.
yeah. And then somebody like making time for you when they don't really want to. Ugh, there's nothing
Yeah.
grosser. So yeah, I'm always curious. Like, is there a better way to handle that type of conversation? Because it happens a lot. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Do you just go, hey, I don't really like you that much, but like if you
Right.
want to fuck every other week,
Right.
Like
I don't know that I would want someone to insert themselves into me after they said I don't like you that
Yeah.
much.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know any woman who's going to respond well to that. I mean, it would have to be, but also like, it would have to be like a woman or the other person would have had to say like, I am interested in a relationship. Otherwise I would just assume that they weren't interested in a relationship.
I think people think I'm a relationship guy.
Because of the glasses?
Because of the glasses, the whole look. I've got an NPR look.
Yeah, you do.
We're gonna raise 2 kids.
This guy's gonna take
We're
me
gonna get a dog
to
together.
see a TED Talk. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not that guy at all.
What kind of guy are you?
He's a bad boy.
You a bad boy?
I'm a bad boy.
Are you a bad boy?
I'm not even that. I don't know.
Want to be bad boy?
I don't know. I'm just trying to. This sounds like an excuse, but I'm still trying to figure out my career.
That's
Okay.
fair. That's not an
And I'm
excuse.
at a point where I'm like, I feel like I'm transitioning into this being a real thing, and that's taking up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it takes up a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And also, I have to have a real job while doing
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So to do that, and also like my friends are great.
That's wonderful.
Comedians are amazing to hang out with. Everything I do is like fun and something I'm passionate about.
Wow.
That's beautiful. That's a very satisfying life. So there's
And-
no room for pussy in that at the moment.
Yes.
That's great.
But I'm like now I've been pussyless for a while.
How long?
What's it while?
Since July.
That's not that long,
That's
but okay.
really not that bad.
But it's also like that like Mike just went like this.
Mind the gap.
Loser.
It really depends on who you're talking to. I mean, that sounds like a while for me.
Oh God.
I mean it was like I've gone way longer.
What's
in
the longest
past,
you've ever gone?
I think 2 years.
Wow, that's impressive for
Ooh,
a
you
man.
monk?
Yeah.
That's great.
No, I just was a scared little boy. I was like between 24 and 26. I think.
Oh, those are like pivotal sexual years for a young man.
You missed out.
Why the 2-year period?
I was like, I just was never really secure, or I was like an insecure guy naturally.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So you're nervous to talk to babes?
Absolutely. I still don't know how to do it.
Right.
Like, I went to an all boys school in high school.
Oh.
So didn't even get a chance to practice that.
So cruel to do to a boy.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's so cruel to do to a boy. I think in all girls school, that's also cruel because girls can be cunts. But
they were at the all girls school.
Yeah. Well,
Cunts to you or cunts to each other or both?
to each other. I wasn't around.
Right. I felt like at the
against
Sadie
the wall.
Hawkins dance or something, you guys get together and they were real bitches.
did you ever do like a cross school dance, like a school?
There were, and I never went to any of the dances.
Why?
I was.
You shy guy?
Yeah.
You shy boy?
Yeah. I went to an all boys school, and then my nephews. So all my brothers went to the school. All my cousins went to the school. None of them sent their kids, and they were like considering whether or not to send their kids. And I was like, it doesn't seem like you're like they should go because they're already like nervous around women.
Right. And that's certainly not going to help.
You already have pussies for kids, so don't make it worse.
Yeah.
So I turned out. I love that feedback though. So wait, was it like a religious all boys school?
Yeah.
Why did you
Catholic.
Okay.
Ooh.
And did you have any
Grew up Catholic. That's another layer of like why.
Catholicism,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Grew up Catholic. So parents, whole family's Filipino.
Are your parents from the Philippines?
From the Philippines. And then I went to Catholic school my whole life. That was one of the main things. That's really the only thing that my parents value is Catholicism. And
Really?
Oh, boy.
yeah,
That's rough.
It's tough because I don't feel like I know my parents that well. Because
Yeah.
I only know what a good Catholic is supposed to be.
Interesting.
Oh, and a good cat. It's all control. It's all
Yeah.
from what I've gathered. Are there levels of Catholicism, or is just there only one type?
There's
Like Judaism has all these sects. I can't say that word, but you know what I mean.
No.
Levels of Judaism.
I think Catholicism is like one of the sects of Christianity.
Okay.
So
it's pretty. If you're Catholic across the board, you kind of have the same beliefs.
Well, there's people who take it more seriously. I mean, because like if you're like a devout Catholic, like you can't even use birth control.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
what were in your household? What was the Catholicism like? What were the limitations?
It's hard to say. Well, like it was just about like decency and image. So it's like keeping up a good image as a good Catholic, being a decent person, and like, you know, not doing any of the shit that you're not supposed to do.
What shit were you not supposed to do in the eyes of the Lord?
Well, what's so weird is that in terms of sex, didn't even have a conversation about that.
Because you're not supposed to masturbate, are you?
Oh, no, not at all.
Right.
Were you told explicitly, don't jack it?
No, not at all. So that's
so
a whole other
confusing.
thing. Because I went to Catholic school, there's a moment where they stopped teaching sex ed. I remember I like took home a letter to my parents in like 4th grade. They said, we're not going to teach sex ed. That's something that they should learn at home. And then I was actually
From their Catholic ass parents.
I was just thinking about this.
I like that they sent them a letter. Like they were like, I prescribe one talk with your kid.
Here, you do it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you know, that was the end of sex ed.
Did your parents give you a talk?
No, not
So you
at
got
all.
zero sex
I
education.
got zero sex ed.
So when you got a boner, what'd you think?
Well, so I had been having boners for a while. And then at some point, I was just playing with it. And I was like, oh, shit, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. Feels
And then,
great.
Yeah. And then...
Is that the way it happens for all guys? You're just playing with it and then it explodes?
yeah.
100%.
And when it explodes, are you like, did I just die? And come?
No, I was like, oh no, this is a mess. I got to get a new pillow.
Fuck. Yeah, it could be scary, I guess, if you don't know all that stuff's going to come out.
When girls masturbate and there's nothing comes out. So it's like, oh, that just
Yeah.
felt really good. I'm going to do this 8 times a day.
Yeah.
Wilfred, can I ask you, did you think the first time you jerked off, I thought that I was masturbating for a while when I was like hitting puberty. And then the first time I actually ejaculated, I was like, that's masturbating. I didn't
Now
know.
that's
I thought just like,
masturbating.
I thought rubbing your dick was just like masturbating.
I was just touching myself
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, right. And then the first time I did it, I was just like, oh my God.
Does anybody else know about this?
I wasn't even sure that what I was doing. I was like, this is a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah.
And I was just rubbing my dick against a pillow.
Yeah.
And then at some point, a bunch of stuff came out. And then
Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
Do you think you had made like a discovery or?
I was like,
I'm the first guy to do this.
I was like, I need to figure out what this is.
Yeah.
That's where I was at in
Right.
5th grade. Because
God, and your school
Catholic
wasn't
school-
talking to you. Your parents weren't talking to
No
you. I
one-
imagine there's no conversation amongst your siblings.
yeah,
Scary not knowing what cum is. Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so sorry for you. Okay.
I'm starting to learn what it is.
That's good.
I actually just did a semen study.
Wait, you were involved in your semen was involved in a study?
Yes.
What does that entail?
It's entailed me going to a place and jerking off.
Jerking it?
This is just for money, right?
Did you watch
or
porn?
were you actually involved in like the science?
Well, I did it because Matt Pavich was telling me that he.
Yeah, name names, all the comics, full names.
Oh, name all the bad boys.
Pavich is not. He's not going to be worried about me.
He's already been on the show. He's fine.
And he was. He did the study as well, and he told me to do. He was like, he was going to do it
I
because
love being a guy. You just jerk off and get paid for it. Ugh, what a life.
you don't get paid much. It's like
much?
It's like a weekend spot pay.
Yeah, Wilfred said, I'm going to jerk off anyway. Might as well
Yeah.
get, $100.
$20.
Well, the reason why I did it was because Pavich was saying that it's like, this is like a $3,000 test to learn this about your semen.
Oh,
What information were you learning?
Just like motility, how like amount of cum or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a science
That's the
guy.
technical
And
term.
then like how much of it is like healthy, how much of it is deformed, like all this stuff.
okay, so deformed cum, is that just cum that can't make a baby, or is it like, does it speak to larger health
I think
issues?
that there's so a
Sperm
part of
that
it.
needs a cane.
A part of it
cell
is
with a
that like a
walker.
lot of like I guess a lot of semen will have like is deformed and has like 2 heads or something,
Right.
like 2
Oh.
tails or some shit.
Yeah.
Really?
And
It's freaking preservatives in our food. Am I right?
whoever has Google and is listening to this, you're gonna have to figure this out on your own because I'm not.
Chad, we are not medical doctors.
I'm not smart enough to know this stuff.
Did you learn anything about your cum that surprised you?
It's great. It's
your cum's-
it's some great stuff.
Were you really excited about that?
I was.
Were you
yeah.
walking on sunshine after you got off that phone call?
I texted with some friends who also because a bunch of comics did this study, and
How were their cum? You not name names, but like, did other men have?
I
great cum?
had some of the best cum.
Wow.
This is the most guy story I've ever heard. I can just see them all in a group chat, like comparing cum
What's your
results.
mobility?
Yeah.
How fast do you swim or swim?
Well, I looked up deformed cum, and it said, why are some sperm deformed? There are many factors that can lead to abnormally shaped sperm, including increased testicular temperature, exposure to toxic chemicals, infection, and genetic traits.
Yeah. So the general study was the study that NYU is doing about how pesticides in food affects semen.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Because the sperm count is like way lower, like in men in general.
I
in the
truly
world.
thought that
love to
mine.
see it.
I thought that mine was going to be completely empty.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to your body?
When you come to smoke come out? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just baby powder.
Easy cleanup.
just like a vape. Just a fucking vape cloud.
I just didn't because I've never had a pregnancy scare in my
Right.
life.
And me neither. And
that
I'm
you
like,
know about.
shit. Am I broken?
Well, and I've
Not that I want one, but
I went no birth control with my ex for 3 years.
did you pull out?
Yeah, and it turns out I'm good at the timing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I guess that's what it comes down to.
So you just had raw sex for 3 years and pulled out? And
Yeah.
That's
I've done that.
wild.
I had raw sex with my ex for like the last 5 years of the relationship.
You guys are crazy gamblers.
I loved it.
Crazy gamblers.
Loved
Yeah.
it.
I mean, yeah, it's way better than
Raw dogging.
than
No, guys, I also have raw
condoms
sex, but I'm
forever.
just on the pill, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I'm like, it's not the raw sex I'm
Well, so she
fighting.
got an IUD put in, and then that.
Everyone's like, you don't even know sex. It's like, no. You're gambling with children here. Insane.
That's what they're for.
Insane.
Like she didn't like the how the hormones were affecting her, so
Yeah.
we're like, all right. let's
Some
just-
women's be sensitive to that shit.
yeah.
So she got the IUD?
She got the IUD, and then
Oh, well, then
and
she
then
was on.
and then she got it taken out like a week later,
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, she had issues.
or
with
maybe
it.
a month later.
Yeah.
and-
It wasn't mood issues, right? Because there's hormone-free IUDs and there's hormonal IUDs, but it goes right to where it's supposed to be affected.
I don't recall exactly what the issues were.
Okay, so you really listened.
This was like, to be fair, 8 years ago.
Oh, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That is fair. You're right.
This wasn't like
You're
6 months ago.
That's a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
So I don't recall a
Men
lot
move
of,
on within 2 months. Yeah.
What I do recall was that when she got the IUD, she went with an ex of hers. This was like early on into our relationship. I don't know why.
Wow, you're real laid back.
I was not laid back about that.
Did she say my ex is coming with me to my IUD?
My ex was like, her ex drove her to the appointment.
Yeah, he just knows my pussy better.
And I was like, I would have done that.
Yeah.
I totally would have done that.
Did you have a car?
Yeah.
What?
Oh.
Oof. That's rough.
So,
Wilfrd. What'd you say to her? Do you remember? Like, why?
No, I don't. It was just like, I mean, it just became the first of many fights.
I can't believe you guys dated for 3 years because like that seemed like some kind of like a masculinity test or something.
Yeah.
That you failed.
Yeah, I sure did take that one on the chin.
I'm like, because I'm trying to think in my girl mind. I'm like, what was the strategy there?
Yeah. Just wanted to see how
think
protective you were, how
Yeah.
into her you were, or something like
Or
that.
how much abuse I would take for the next 3
Or how
years.
jealous you got or
Maybe.
something. I mean, girls always do like a little jealousy test just to see.
I used to be more
you know,
jealous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then I was much more jealous.
Well, did you not enough to say anything about her ex taking her to? Did she? Say, she didn't say why the ex.
Just because like her and her ex are still friends. They so and he was available and I was.
She didn't even ask you.
Yeah, I mean,
you
she
fought
went.
a lot in that
She
relationship?
went while I was at work, but I would have taken
on
the day
purpose.
off.
Right.
You know,
She wanted to reunite with that ex.
we fought. I don't know how much a lot is. We ended up breaking up 3 years later. I did think I was going to marry her.
Why?
Because there's this moment where this is
Toxicity
when I
felt
was
so good.
listening. We were living in Seattle, and there's this moment. I think this was around 3 years of our relationship. She was like, "We should move to LA.
Okay.
We should move to LA. You know, you don't have to get stuck here in Seattle as a comedian."
Nice.
And then I was like, right. And I loved her. And right when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, I need to marry her.
That's all it took?
Because, I mean, it was a good relationship, but there was the career thing, the fact that like, I just didn't feel like I was like fully supported. Because this is a huge part of me, the fact that I do stand-up.
Well, she was willing to move, but did she like also just kind of want to move to LA and was making it about you? So it seemed more.
That's what I was thinking.
So,
because I've never like,
oh, this is your idea. I guess we should go. And it's like, bitch, who you know in LA you trying to?
I feel like male comedians' girlfriends are either like too supportive when they should like stop the dream a little bit, or absolutely like, I can't wait till he gets over this phase. Like it's like someone who plays video games too much.
So what ended up happening was that week I was like, I got to get a ring. I got to figure this out.
Whoa.
Because this was like really the one hurdle that we had. And then...
so would she say things to you about like, but what do you really want to do? Or like... Did you not
career-wise? You didn't feel
'Cause
supported.
You said you didn't feel supported
by her up until this point, right?
Well, so I was like supporting us. I had a full-time job as doing social work, and she was in grad school at the time, and I was also doing spots at night. And she was upset that like her family had just moved to Seattle, so she was upset that like I like wasn't available to hang out.
But if you were supporting both of you
financially,
that's a big responsibility.
I could have nothing to do and I wouldn't want to hang out with my partner's family.
Correct.
Yeah. But she and her family's great, actually. It's like it was a better sense of family than my family.
Okay,
because
nice.
I like I've got Catholic family that
there's some distance.
We're not sharing a lot. We're not. We don't really know each other.
Having
at
a
all.
fake surface level relationship with your family is like so depressing.
Yeah. But her family, I knew them.
Yeah.
Didn't like all of them, but I knew them. And anyway, so she says, let's go to LA.
Okay.
And I'm excited. I'm like, finally, I'm free from Seattle comedy scene. Fucking sucked. I hated it.
Right.
And then a week later, I'm like, so like, when do you think we should move to LA? And she's like, you should move to LA.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to go. I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's weird timing if her family just moved there.
Yes.
And she suggested it. So it's like, that's a...
So she really suggested you should move to LA.
I think in the end, like if I look back on it, she was already done with the relationship.
But she didn't say that.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that.
And then 6 months later, we broke up.
6 months later.
Yeah, because
you tried to hold on. Huh?
So wait, so you moved to LA and then tried to do
No,
long
I never
distance?
moved.
Oh, okay.
No,
because you ended up coming to New York instead.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
ultimately. Okay.
So it just takes. It's when we live together. We
Sure.
had a dog together.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot to really unwind. We went to a few couples therapy sessions, and
How'd those go?
Great on my end because the therapist was like, "Why aren't you supporting Wilfred?" So I was winning all those sessions.
Whose idea was it to go to therapy?
It was hers,
She probably regretted that shit.
Really pissed her off.
and she went to 3 sessions and it was just like, "I don't think I want to go to those sessions anymore."
Yeah, because
Yeah, because the therapist
you're
didn't agree
the
with her.
problem. Yeah.
And then a few months later, I actually called one of my closest friends, Andy Haynes. This was the first
Andy.
time that we became close because I called him and I was like, "Hey man, I'm in this dilemma. Do I need to move to LA? Can I stay in Seattle? Because I want to keep this relationship alive." And then that was the first time we had opened up to each other and whatnot. Because like I said, guy friendships are tough.
Right.
And he talked me through it a little bit. And then
Was he married yet at the time?
No, he'd gotten through his first divorce and he was.
Oh, so he was okay. So okay.
That's a good person to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's seen some shit. Yeah.
And he's like, from Seattle, moved to New York, moved to LA. Like I was like, this is the one guy that has, whose phone number I have that could walk me through this. And so, yeah, a few months later, at some point I was just like, yeah, it doesn't feel like, this is going anywhere. And then, I feel like I can't marry you anymore.
That's yeah.
and
that'll happen.
then that was like the last week that we were together.
Was she like, okay, well then I guess see it? Like people are just bad at breaking up with each other.
She was like, well,
humans in
I guess
general.
we should just break up. And every time we had a fight, the fights were like, she would always put in we should stop dating. And I was like, we live together. And I was like,
every fucking
That's
fight?
like an avoidant attachment. I kind of do that too. Yeah, 'cause I just don't.
Really?
I don't want to put up with it. It's never worth it. And every time I wish, I wish the first time I threatened it, I had done it the first time.
yeah.
But then that doesn't make people feel loved or welcome. So,
No, not at all.
but it's just not worth it.
But also at the time, I'm I wasn't the most mature person. I also wasn't the most attentive person.
Yeah.
I couldn't see that there were real issues happening in the relationship.
Why? What were you focused on instead?
I wasn't aware of all of the I was raised by narcissists. So I wasn't fully aware that other people the way you treat them affects them negatively.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was in therapy where I was like, oh, I can
That's kind of a big one to miss.
It's a big one.
Even
yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah.
yeah.
But sometimes you don't know until. Was there a moment where you discovered your parents were narcissistic, or did you always know? Were you one of the lucky ones that always knew? Because that's
I figured it out maybe 3 years ago.
right. Yeah, and it's like A, C, and B, like before Christ and after Christ. Like you
Yeah.
can never not know.
It also I figured out 3 years ago. I've only seen him twice since
then? Nice.
And
Where do they live?
Seattle.
Oh, okay.
And what sucks about it is that I'm still in that place where you can only see them as narcissists, and I haven't accepted it. I'm just angry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
and
the
so I
phase.
haven't
That's
moved
the
on
phase.
from there.
Yeah, you will, but you got to let it happen naturally. Well, you look at when you discover that I discovered my mom was, you look at all the memories in a new lens.
Yeah.
All your memory, like my mom had a lot of suicide attempts, and I remember Corinne one day said to me, "Your mom pretends to want to kill herself a lot, but she never actually does it." And I'm like, wait a second, I think she's manipulating
How many
me.
attempts?
She's like,
She calls them, now you should call them performance. And now another performance of I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
You've ruined my life, Krystyna.
The lights never turn off.
Well, I don't know. I'm curious if I don't know what behaviors your parents did, but like that the suicide attempt. I didn't realize that was manipulation. I thought she was genuinely bipolar and like had mental illness, and I felt so bad for her. Then when I realized it was manipulation, I'm like, whoa. Fuck you. And so, but man, that anger is real.
See, I didn't even have any growing up, had no sense of like mental health issues.
Okay.
Or like mental health problems or anything. So I was just like, because it was all framed under Catholicism.
Right. And I also think we don't recognize when we're young and even in like the time period that we grew up in when mental health wasn't discussed as widely, like just how many mental illnesses there are.
Yes, exactly.
So many, guys. There's so many, you know?
There's actually, I have a joke about this. When I was working like as a pseudo social worker at the school.
That's what the kids need, a pseudo social worker.
Sounds safe.
Help me get away from my abusive dad, pseudo social worker.
Well, I was doing everything except for the clinical, like they have to spend an hour talking to a therapist. I was doing all of the like, my title was like community care coordinator.
Okay. What did you have to do to get that title?
I worked at the school for a long time. I was working at a school and
saw you around a lot.
Yeah. I was I like ran all the after school programs there. Okay. And I was good with the community, and so I ended up switching to another this other organization who was trying to get in with that school. They had to get in with that school with a certain person, and the school's like, if you hire Wilfred, then you can get in.
Okay.
So, there's this one kid. What I was getting at was there's this one kid at the school. This is how dumb I am about mental health stuff. Is that there's this kid? I was just like, it's an all black school. This one like nerdy white kid, and I was just like, oh. He's just a loser, nerdy white kid. And then I later found out that he was autistic, and I was like, oh, that's why he couldn't relate to people.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but it's not discussed.
This fucking loser.
In his own fucking world.
Yeah. I was like, what? And someone else had to tell me that. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Well, you need education about like, what are the different, things people can be experiencing.
It also seems like that should have been on some kind of a chart that was handed to you.
For sure. That's unfair to that poor kid.
You'd be surprised at how little training happens at all these
things. No, I'm not.
We're not surprised.
I was actually, when you were talking about like what, you needed to get near the kids, I was thinking of what I did to join Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it wasn't a lot. I charmed an old lady in a room, and then I went to Subway sandwiches, and I got a sandwich for my little sister Jubilee, and then they just said you can hang out with her and literally say whatever to her, and I did.
Yeah.
All right, Jubilee, let me tell you about being a woman. What behaviors or things your parents said to you that you didn't understand were narcissistic that you later learned were?
It just became about like how everything I did was, and when I say my parents are narcissistic, it's not to the extent of what your mom was doing. It was just that everything I did and everything our family does was a reflection on them.
Yeah.
And how like the fact that I live in New York, the fact that I'm a comedian, the things I say on stage. Like I recently have had a conversation with my family about a joke that I have, and they were like, that makes us look bad.
So you're a prop, not a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just like coming to realize that, and the fact that they never taught me how to relate to other people because they never tried to relate to us.
Yeah. Did they ever ask you how you were doing?
No.
Yeah, that's a bummer, man.
I did remember this one time when my mom open mic'd "I love you" on me. It was like 4th grade, and she said it in a phone. The way that she said it, I was like, when was the last time you've tried this? Because
like a deer learning how to walk.
Yeah.
But it's saying "I love you" to your child.
To your son. Yeah. And then she was like, she said "I love you" in this phone call as we were wrapping up. She called us because she had left already for work. We were going to go to school. She was just checking in. And at the end of the call, she's like, "I love you." And I was like, okay. And she was like, say it back. And then I said it couldn't tell you how awkward it was. It was
Right.
the worst thing.
Yeah.
And that was the second time I said I love you to my parents.
Wow. Ever.
The first time was because I had gone through confession as a Catholic.
That old Catholic
You have to do it. Your first confession happens in first grade.
Okay.
And then you gotta, which is like, as a 7-year-old, you're like, you're already thinking of sins and everything I do wrong.
Yeah, that's
Tell us the password to your magic diary.
That's so spiritually unhealthy to make a fucking first grader confess sins. Oh my God.
And so I go to confession. I didn't really prep what I was gonna tell the dude.
Right. 'Cause, like, what do you say?
Yeah, you're 7 years old, and I'm like, I don't know what I feel bad about.
Yeah, your stand-up career began there.
Yeah.
Got to workshop it.
And then I told told the priest about this this time that like my brother and I were like play fighting, and we like cracked a vase, and we just never told my parents.
Okay, that's a cute.
That's a good one.
That's like a healthy.
And then my penance was that I had to tell my parents that I love them. Which that's my
the
punishment.
I'd rather tell him I broke the vase.
Yeah.
And I was not going to do it. I was like going to try to get away with it. And then at some point, my parents were like, "What? So what was your penance?" And I was like, sheepishly at dinner, I was like, it was to say I love you to you guys. And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll do it." And I
just did.
And I said, because the line is, "I love you, Mom and Dad."
They gave you a line?
That's all
They
the line.
gave you a script.
Wilfred, your line is, I love you, Mom and Dad.
I wish I had it written, and then I completely, I was like, "I love you, Dad and Mom." And like,
You fucked it up?
I completely flubbed
the
it.
floor.
Yeah. And so that was the first time. Second time, we're still not comfortable saying it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Mike Birbiglia talks about this for a large portion of his new one-man show he went to see last night, Old Man in the Pool. And he was talking about how his family says take care to each other instead of I love you. And he goes, that's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes it means enough.
That's your trauma showing.
Yeah. Wilfred, I
enough.
think it's actually very important for a child to be loved and nurtured by their parents.
I barely feel love, and I throw out I love yous to everyone. I tell so many of my community, I'll be like, bye. I tell all my guy friends, I'll be like, bye, love you, and they say it back to me all the time.
I've been saying I love you to guy friends lately.
Yay, I love that.
Since when in the early pandemic, when we were checking in on each other, that started this.
Yeah.
That also helped me figure out who my real close friends are and who the ones.
Absolutely.
Who would say it back?
Wait, did some friends not say it back? And you're like,
no, it's more that some friends I didn't call.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And they didn't call me.
Stopped loving them.
I got rid of so many people during the pandemic. It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I got rid of them. I just
faded them out.
I didn't.
Or push them to a lower level.
Yes, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's not like I wouldn't, if I walked by them on the street, I wouldn't say hello to them anymore, but...
Yeah, and I'll completely hang out when we're on shows together, but...
I'll completely hang out when we have to be in the same space anyway.
When we're professionally obligated to do so.
Yeah, when we're paid to be at the same space.
Right,
Are your parents upset that you don't talk to them? Or they're like,
I don't
we didn't like you much anyway?
They don't text me.
Okay, so they don't give a
call.
shit. Yeah.
I have a brother. My
This
oldest.
is so fascinating.
It's always when you cut your parents off and they're like, all right, and you're like, you're not even gonna try to not.
But that's actually one of the things where I realized that they're narcissistic was because I will be around them and they'll be like, so and so doesn't call, and I was like, the phone works your way.
Yes. Yes.
And then
it's always your fault.
When I did call, there was nothing to talk about.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you just want me to call so you can tell people that I called.
Yep.
Or you want me to reach out. You want us to look like a loving family.
Right. Oh, it's so depressing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, don't you feel the lack of love, Mom and Dad? There's no love here. How do you not feel that?
Well, they have each other.
How do you not feel that? That's true. You're right.
I mean, they also came from shitty families.
That's what I was sure.
It's not.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think part of it is so it's we are expecting maturity from people who I don't know that they have it. Just because they're your parents doesn't mean they're mature people.
Right.
And I think think of how old we all are. They would have full ass families by now, and think of how rocky our grasp on relationships still is.
Yeah.
You know,
imagine having kids.
Right. So it's I had good parents, but if I think about it, I would have had almost like a 10-year-old kid right now.
Right.
And I would have had a 10-year-old kid and a 5-year-old kid right now.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
My parents had all 5 kids.
5.
By my age. They had their youngest.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay.
Could you imagine having 5 kids right now, Wilfred?
No.
Holy shit.
I could imagine having one.
And that makes me have sympathy for parents, like, our parents.
And they weren't having conversations like this. They weren't going to therapy.
No.
The
dads didn't have any friends.
Podcasts or
Yeah.
self-help books. It was like, I mean, they probably had one that was just like, have
Get
dinner
over it.
ready when your husband gets home, bitch. Don't talk back, whore.
Yeah.
You whore.
Yeah, there was not, and also because my parents were immigrants, their sense of what like America was
Right.
older than what it really is.
How do you mean?
They had this white picket fence idea of what America is supposed to be.
It was for like a second, even though it never really was, but like there was like everyone got faked out for like a decade.
Yeah, but they didn't get immigrate here until the 80s, and then by the time they had enough money to buy a house, it like America just wasn't what. Like it just wasn't that you own a house, you're set.
Yeah, right.
And then they would have to also like the 2 other hurdles were like I'm guessing racism, and then also having to like be new people like in a new place.
That's actually something that I'm going through right now, where I'm trying to learn about being Filipino.
Yeah.
Because my parents were immigrants.
So you're first generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the first one in my family born here.
Wow.
And so
congrats.
They didn't teach me the language because they were trying to learn English. So why would
assimilate?
Why would they try to push like Tagalog on me?
Yeah.
Damn.
You know, and I don't know much about. It wasn't until like I was 31 I learned about their immigration process.
Holy shit.
And like when they moved
That's
here
such a
and how
big thing.
Yeah, like my dad moved to my family moved to Seattle, and then my dad left and went down California looking for jobs.
Wow.
And he didn't get a job until he was in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Then he had to ship the whole family to Dallas.
Oh my god.
And then
that motherfucker worked.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, sure, he didn't teach me anything about emotions, but
he did something that was really hard to do.
It was really hard to do.
Yeah.
Like what skill or trade was he involved in the Philippines?
So they own businesses. Like my parents were actually wealthy in the Philippines.
Nice.
And then because my dad also, like, his family had money. So they had like a bunch of businesses. They had like
So like kind of like entrepreneur, like
kind of, yeah. Like I remember they had my dad told me they owned like a business, you know, those like Japanese stores where it's like a bunch of just junk for
I love that.
$2 or $3.
Yeah.
They owned one of those in the Philippines.
Oh, cool. like a trinket store.
Yes.
Or like notepad, sticky notes.
Yes.
That are shaped like bunnies.
Yeah,
I like
pink
it. Love
that
pens and
shit.
whatnot.
Yeah.
that's a fun store.
Fucking jelly pens.
Yeah.
Oh, man. With
It's all
cute
gonna break.
It's like a
And-
generic
Yeah.
Sanrio store. Ugh, love
Yes.
it.
Love Sam.
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff that's going in the ocean eventually.
But you really get to appreciate it for like a week.
Yeah. And then so they moved here, and then like had none of my uncle was a lawyer, moved here, became a janitor.
I was literally in my head. I, in my head, I was like, he was a janitor here, and then he said janitor.
Like literally
Whoa,
a
you're
janitor.
psychic.
Yeah.
That's so. Well, it's also just like such an American shit show story. So if they were rich in the
American
Philippines,
shit show.
was it because of this like vision of America that they were sold that they wanted to live here? Like they must have known there was going to be a drop off in their like.
Well,
Income level or like at least immediate.
There was a little bit of the dream that was sold on them,
Yeah.
but the main reason they left was because of corruption in the Philippines.
Okay, I was thinking there's something.
Yeah,
in the government.
it was in the end of Ferdinand Marcos's reign.
Okay.
And he had just been like a pretty shitty dude to the whole country. And like he like at some point there's a story where he like raided the government or some people raided my grandpa's place.
Oh, fuck.
Grandpa, I guess, had a whole wall of guns.
Oh
Nice,
my god.
Grandpa's locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Look a little history.
And then raided that and took all of his stuff and whatnot.
Oh,
And-
shit, that's terrifying.
Yeah. There's this also, this is a story that I just found out.
I was gonna say, is that Imelda's husband?
Imelda's husband,
Yeah.
yes. So I watched, there's a documentary about Imelda Marcos
Mm-hmm.
called The Kingmaker. I watched that. And, it doesn't, paint her in a great light.
Okay.
And
I don't think any, besides her notorious shoe collection, I don't think anyone's like Imelda Marcos. What a great
There's
lady.
this moment in the documentary where she's, this is where I learned a lot about my family, because there's a lot of like image that comes with Imelda Marcos, and she is looking proper the whole time. And there's this moment where she like puts her arm on a table and it wobbles and a glass breaks. And like you can see like still in frame, like her server is like cleaning up the glass, like scared. Oh, God. And I was just like, oh, that's like my family.
Wow.
That must give you so much anxiety to live like that. Like anytime I'm around people who care so much about like what other people think, it like actually gives me anxiety being around them.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living like that.
It's a very specific energy.
And it's hard to like get rid of that for myself.
Yeah. Right. How
especially
do you like
as a comic, I'm supposed to just be myself on stage.
I know.
Like, how do I,
You're like, but who am I to begin with?
Yes. Who am I? What do I like?
Yeah.
This is all shit that I'm still talking about in therapy.
Yeah. But, and it makes you like it's dissociative in a way because you're like, do I even know who I am? And then that's a scary little.
Yeah. My therapist was like, all right, so if you went on because I was like, I should probably go on vacation at some point. And she's like, if you went on vacation, what would you do? And I was like, I guess I do what I see on Instagram. And she's like, well, what do you like? And I'm like, I don't know.
I would hold my tits in the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
But you like basketball?
Yeah.
Go to the Basketball Hall of Fame.
It's wild.
That's a domestic trip.
It's wild when you are taught indirectly or directly that like you only matter. How you affect me is how you matter. Like to a parent, by a parent. And so that really you lose out on getting to know yourself. And then when you have to get to know yourself in your 30s, you're like, this fucking sucks.
Handy to be to be a woman in a heterosexual relationship though.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use the same skills again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's what I did in my last relationship, where I was just the woman doing that for her.
You were doing that for her?
Yeah, just being supportive and whatnot.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So
well, that falls into like the role you played as a child with your parents in a way. Was she narcissistic in any way? Like had like traits? Obviously, we'd be diagnosing that all the time, but like
I don't know if I'd put that on her.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting because when you look up narcissism statistically, like for all the people that I've heard call people narcissists, I go, the numbers don't add up, guys.
Yeah, we need like another term that's like a little less narcissistic and just like the world revolves around me in a toxic way.
Yeah, what's like the spectrum of narcissism?
I think it's also like a larger, even beyond mental illness, it's a larger commentary on like just human beings in society and how we are. And I think we saw a lot of that during COVID. Like you would think an experience like that should bring us closer to our, fellow countrymen and women. And it certainly did not.
There was a moment where I was like, oh, I felt like I was brought closer to New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Because we were like New York tough. That was like a thing that was happening in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I was like to my friend circle, I was brought closer to for sure. Yeah. The ones that, I chose to, carry on with. But overall, I mean, I feel more distant from people than ever. And part of it is my disgust with how people handled that. And I'm not talking about like people who didn't wear masks, just like, it's like, I mean, it was just like, it felt so animalistic. Like, I just got to live for me. And then also like people yelling at each other about the masks. I was like,
yes,
I don't.
They were just yelling at each other.
No.
Well, there was in those first few months, probably like first 6 months, like where we were just like people were separated. And then we learned that we can go on walks. And then we started going on walks, and then we were all hanging out at parks, and it was like this very beautiful time in New York.
Very bohemian, yeah.
And then it ended up becoming, everything's politicized. And then we started yelling at each other. It's like, you're not a bad, you're a bad person.
And then it gave people like a tunnel, an outlet rather, for anything that they didn't like about themselves to just yell at somebody else for something. So it's like, if you have aggression in you or anger in you or confusion in you, you can't hide it for that long. It'll come out eventually, and usually it comes out in the form of projecting. And I feel like there was a lot of projecting during COVID.
Oh, and I was thinking, because I didn't like people who wore masks and yelled at other people for not wearing them any more than people who didn't wear masks. I thought they all sucked.
Yeah. And just yelling at people what to do. It's
and when things fell apart, they kind of talk about people like that. I mean, like obviously it's written 20 years ago, so that they don't know what's going to, Pema or Pima, I don't know how you say her first name. You don't know what's going to happen in the world, but it's kind of foreshadowing for, you know, what liberal like extremism has turned into. And it very clearly states in like Buddhism that people who feel that way, it's just because they lack purpose, and it makes them feel a sense of purpose in the world, which, I mean, I didn't need that book to tell me, but it was nice, like, when an old religion backs it up.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, well, I mean, that was obvious. It's just, I don't think those people are any better. They just are louder.
Yeah, it feels like I don't know. There's no people are just trying to be right, and I think
exactly.
And I don't want to just like big up comics, because there's a part of me that's like, it feels like the comedians in my life are the only ones that see through the two sides.
Yes,
they're just, because we're just trying to be ourselves.
And it's also the specific type of comedian that I think you're friends with, because it's certainly not all comedians. There's some
absolutely.
very fucking obnoxious comedians.
Yes, I live in Brooklyn.
there
Come on.
are.
Yeah. So and that's disappointing, because you're like, now it's not even like, there's no clarity on even what a comedian is, because usually you could be like, oh, like a comedian is someone who's going to be able to see this from both sides, and like that's certainly not true anymore.
And that's when, like, as I'm getting into dating and trying to figure out who I want to be with.
Yeah,
like,
what's your approach here?
So right now, I've
strategy?
I've nailed it down to what I do get. I know what I want.
What do you want?
I want to be with someone that makes me laugh.
Awesome.
Which is already a high bar.
Wow. Okay.
Really? Because in fact, women can be funny. I don't know if you.
And that's not what I'm saying.
I think it's more just like being a comedian. It's hard to find someone that's going to make you laugh, because we are around the funniest people all day.
Yes.
But would you date a comedian? And there's the hesitation.
I don't know.
Why?
To find a woman who's not a professional comedian who's going to make you laugh is a little difficult.
The reason why I'm not sure if I date a comedian is because
Same goes for a man.
I also feel like I have to really respect like how good you are at the thing that you're passionate about.
For sure, yeah.
And you guys are both very good comedians. Like, there are a lot of great comedians that are women.
Yeah.
But so I'm like,
Get out your scripts.
I
from
feel
from
like
Confection.
I know. I feel like I'd need to date up, or at least my level, and there aren't a lot of women that are up or at least my level. So I'm like, and so I don't want to like date someone who sucks at this.
Right.
It's really a numbers game. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a numbers thing.
Yeah, that's good.
We're giving you an out.
Yeah. No, but yeah, you value also laughing and being
So
being
makes you
humored by your
laugh.
partner.
That was
someone who makes
an
me laugh.
amazing first trait to list, and very not heterosexual of you.
I know, we like it. Thumbs up.
Okay.
We approve.
I don't think I'm coming out pretty good in this.
No,
podcast.
no, you actually
No, this
are.
is good.
No.
That was good.
The next thing is so I've also realized what vulnerability means to me,
What does it mean to you?
Wow, what a sentence.
because
It's been to therapy.
look, we all talk all the time,
Yes.
and we all talk very openly all the time. So vulnerability, our line of
like fake
vulnerability,
It's more like oversharing.
but this is vulnerable to other people.
Exactly, not to us.
To,
not
to us, to me,
Just how's the weather to me?
vulnerability is saying something cancelable. And just because
to me that's like bravery, and also a trait I look for in people. It's one of the things I liked about not my most current ex, but the one before. So that's like, I was actually thinking about this morning, like, because we've been talking on the show a lot, the things that straight men look for in women versus the things that I as a straight woman look for in men. And I look for like qualities that make an interesting person, which don't necessarily make a good partner. Whereas it's many times, and you're not falling into this trap that we set for you, where the things that men look for in women are all like kind of like spousal traits, like make
what?
sandwiches, makes me feel good about
Comforting.
myself,
I don't know if
nurturing, comforting.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm around better people.
Like
than that, but-
traits that you would use to describe your mom when you're 4.
Sure. Yeah. Anyone that says like, oh, I want someone who's good in the kitchen, who fucking
I
cares?
haven't heard that one.
I hear it. I hear it a lot. But that was the most extreme example
Sure.
from my list, and
Yeah. yeah, someone vulnerability to me is saying something that society would yell at me for.
Okay.
And I feel like I have that with a lot of comedians.
Yep. Yeah.
I've definitely.
It's a deep bond.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, I trust you with like all this trouble that I could get into.
Wilfred once said to me in Eastville, he goes, yeah, I could tell by your Twitter that you're not trying to be a good person. And I like that.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
That was really funny though. Okay. And then
and those are the main things. And then someone that I want to bang.
Yeah.
It's really like someone that I want.
Through sexual attraction.
Those are very broad things.
No, I know, but
they're not broad.
But none of them really went into besides being funny, I guess, is entertaining to you. None of the other ones were really
partnering
of service, being of service to you, which is
good.
So rare to have a guy come on the show and not list any partner traits that are just the woman being of service in some way to his emoemotional or physical needs. I mean, the sex is fine because that's mutual attraction.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
I think for me, it's because I've been single for so long, and I've really figured out how to be alone.
Yeah, that's a great skill.
And
it'll make you a really good partner too.
And and I also know that I need. I guess I'll throw this one in there: someone that can be alone themselves.
Yeah.
Because I need alone time to figure out. We all need alone time to think and be creative.
Yes.
So,
what a great list.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
And I think that's
list.
kind of the end of the list.
Yeah, that's great. So how are you going to meet this lady?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I did?
You're on our show, so there's a start.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram handle?
Great calves too. I was saying this before the camera.
Yeah. I haven't seen them
I don't
yet,
know if they're not as
she doesn't
good
say that often.
because of the moving, but I was the whole time Wilfred helped me move my dad's store. Thank you. I know that was quite the feat. And I was like, what the fucking legs
calves
on
on
this guy.
that man.
Yeah.
The legs on this
Nice.
man.
That's my
Guys,
best.
get implants.
Soccer player.
Yeah, I got good legs.
Yeah.
Nice.
God
Yeah.
damn
Own it, baby.
Yeah. That was I don't know. What were we talking about?
I was asking what your Instagram
it's just my
handle
name,
is.
Wilfred Padua.
Okay.
And
it'll be in the description.
how I'm going to meet this person. You know, I was just talking with my buddy, and he was telling me about how this gets a bad rap because of the book, The Game, but he's been trying to approach women in person.
That's wise.
And he and in the game they call it day gaming or whatever, which
I kind of want to read. I gotta read the game.
Approach your prey.
Yeah.
Don't let her see your claws.
I actually could not listen to. I tried to listen to it
get through it.
I was just like, this is kind of weird and boring.
I feel that way about a lot of popular self-help or relationship books.
Yeah.
They're very hard to get through.
It's also
this is it's patronizing to me at this
and
point.
it's been
Yeah,
talked
me too.
about, so it's I get it.
Right. I mean, the game. Did they talk about negging in the game as well?
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
just
thought
such
so.
a
I think that's where the term
human
came.
way to
Yeah,
meet someone.
I just learned that from the VH1 mystery show, which I think he was just doing the game with a hat on.
No, mystery is.
He's the author of the game.
I think he's who the game is about.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a
I'm
bad
not in this
foot-
world,
Yeah,
so. But he's been trying to approach women in person, and I was just we're driving up to a show together, and he was telling me about this, and I was like, tell me about what the process is. And as he was telling me about this, I noticed my arm started to cross, and I was getting anxious because I don't do this.
Right.
This isn't who I am.
Right.
I've been dating on the apps.
Yeah.
Which fucking
It's
sucks.
also not human,
Yeah, it's not human, but at least it sets up this context we're both wanting romantic involvement.
Yeah, we're both here because we're interested in pursuing
Yeah.
something with someone.
But crossing that line
What's
from
your age bracket?
it is 29 to 38.
Oh, look at you! What an appropriate age bracket.
Wilfred.
Mine's 25 to 29. Suck it, everybody. I changed it. Fuck you all. I changed
Mine's
it.
anyone who will love me back.
No, I turned off my dating app, but for the 2 days that it was on, I put it on. Well, I had it on 23 to 29, and I was like, all right, this is too low.
23.
All right, Epstein.
For me,
Calm down.
23.
Well, my ex-boyfriend, when we started dating, he was 23, but I mean, I was also not the age I am now, so.
Yeah, that was just last year.
It was 2 years. Yeah. Wilfred was there for that.
Whole 365
He heard all those
days away.
jokes. see all those jokes.
A lot of living happening between
But for me, 23 to 26 or 23 to 20, because I've dated a 24-year-old at some point, and I was just like, this isn't. I don't know. I feel like you got to get roughed up by life a little bit more to really get where I'm at.
Yeah. You've seen some shit, Wilfred.
Yeah.
You want to?
I've also not seen anything. Like I just hang out in my apartment, don't do shit.
Right.
Yeah.
What I mean, the qualities you're looking for and the age bracket and the and the calves alone should really be a selling point for all our listeners.
You got a bright future ahead of you.
Thanks.
Incredible.
I'm hoping it comes fast because I'm
you're very lonely.
and I'm also
TikTok,
just like
motherfuckers.
Yeah, I'm just sick of being 36 and where I'm at. So
yeah. Well, that's good. That's the motivation. That's fuel to pivot. So
yeah.
Where can we find you online? What would you like to promote? Where can we see more of you?
Just at Wilfrd Padua on everything. I've got a unique enough name that no one else has that. Nice. And I don't know. I'll update my website with the dates at some point.
Okay.
But most of the shit is on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna get more active on the other video shits.
Yeah, I feel like your TikTok does pretty well, right?
It did, and then I stopped posting because I got good. I got like 60,000 followers like immediately, and I was like, "Oh, I beat TikTok." Like
you got it.
I don't have to play.
That's how you see ya.
Yeah.
TikTok punishes
you. Exactly.
It's like a narcissistic parent.
Follow Wilfred on TikTok to see his clips. They're very funny. Thank you so much for sitting and letting us grill you with questions.
Thanks for having me.
Handled it well.
This has been Guys We Fucked, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday.